episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along. Yes, I am indeed in casual clothes this evening. So if you've got your gym jams on as well, let's have a gym jam celebration and a chat about what it feels like to be a Cupioromantic despite being aromantic. So if you don't know what a Cupioromantic is, a Cupioromantic is someone on the aromantic spectrum who desires a romantic relationship despite not experiencing any romantic attraction. So that's very, very complicated for the person. So, if you don't know who I am, by the way, I am Sandra Bellamy, author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, founder of asexualise.com and founder of Asexualise Academy. So let's get straight on to tonight's episode. So, I was on meetup.com and I came across a guy who is Cupioromantic. And if you watched a previous video of mine, there was a video I did which was saying, was asking, can an aromantic person learn to be romantic if they want to be? Now, this caused a bit of controversy with the title, and you know, some people gave it a thumbs down because they hadn't watched the video. If they'd have watched the video, they would have known this was specifically done because I had a Cupioromantic on this channel who'd left a comment and said that they wanted a romantic relationship that badly, despite not experiencing any romantic attraction, that they almost took their own life. Now, on this channel, I have to say that I want to help everyone that I can, you know. Everyone deserves a helping hand and to have videos made that will help them in some way, you know. So when people read the title, I presume that all the people that put the thumbs down were the people that hadn't read it, because I'm a heteromantic, right? But if I had someone else writing a video, for example, about can heteromantics learn not to be romantic, you know, I wouldn't just give the video a thumbs down, because, you know, some people who are heteromantic might not want to be romantic. Do you know what I'm saying? And, you know, anything, in my opinion, is skill that can be learned. Doesn't mean to say that it's right for you to do that. Doesn't mean to say it change your orientation, because it doesn't. Like I said in the video, it doesn't change your orientation just because you learn a skill or behaviour. You know, we know that some asexuals have sexual behaviour, yet they don't experience any sexual attraction. It's two different things. And so if you watch that video, I know a couple of you watched it, they gave me a thumbs up at the time, but I seem to have got loads of thumbs down after that. So I do hope people know that, you know, I don't just reach out to specific people on this channel. I reach out to everyone, and if I think a video needs doing and something needs saying in order to help someone in their life that's at a very difficult point, who has been contemplating killing themselves, I think it's a video worth doing, and I wish people would actually, instead of just looking at the title, would actually click on the video. But what I've done is I put Cupioromantic in brackets that will hopefully help people to watch it. But then again, you know, people who are aromantic probably won't even watch it because it's got Cupioromantic in there, and it seems very taboo topic, this Cupioromantic. Like, some people don't even believe it really exists, and of course it exists. I know people that are, I knew a guy for a couple of years that was a Cupioromantic, you know, and I hate it when people say that. I mean, loads of people say, oh, asexuality is not really, doesn't exist. So why are people in our own community, you know, saying this about people who are Cupioromantic doesn't exist? I find that very ironically disgusting and very contradictory, to be quite honest, you know. I've known, like I said, I knew someone for 2 years, and I know it exists because I come across people. And one of the people I came across was someone on meetup.com. He doesn't want to be named, which is fair enough, but he's happy for me to say his responses so that you can understand a Cupioromantic better, and he hopes it will help more and more people to understand Cupioromantics. And I do hope it helps you, because, you know, it's kind of crazy when people are just telling people they can't be who they are within their own community. I don't think that's particularly nice, and I will help everyone on this channel. And I did a video about Cupioromantic a long time ago. It was even brought up at the UK Sexuality conference that, oh, well, people don't really talk about Cupioromantic. And I said, well, I do, because it's on my channel. What is a Cupioromantic? You can search it on my channel videos. And I also mentioned it in my asexual basics for beginners. Asexuality Basics for Beginners free course, which is links down below if you want to check it out. It's at my Asexualized Academy site. It's a completely free video series. There's like 9-part video series, 14 videos. It's all about the asexual spectrum and the aromantic spectrum within the asexual spectrum. It's really good to just watch the videos, even if you know a fair amount about asexuality. You know, you might know a friend who doesn't, or you might have some family or relatives that, you know, you're fed up of trying to explain it to them, so you can stick me on if you want. Like, they can sign up. They don't have to be asexual to watch the videos. So anyway, in case you didn't know, I'll go over it again. A Cupioromantic is someone who's on the aromantic spectrum, so they don't experience any romantic attraction, yet they desire a romantic relationship. So the two things are obviously conflicting with each other all the time, which makes life very difficult for your Cupioromantic. Just like I'm a hyperromantic, heteromantic, so I tend to get attracted to a lot of my friends, even though, you know, romantically, even though I don't want to be, because it's a pain in the butt sometimes. You know, Cupioromantics can have the fact that they so strongly desire a romantic relationship, and it varies the degree of their desire down to the individual. You know, some people desire it a little bit, some people desire it really strongly. In my experience, they tend to have quite a strong sense of they want a romantic relationship, and it's very difficult for them. So I put to this person, who I don't want to name, because they need their privacy. So basically I said to them, thank you very much. You know, I explained that it's good to meet a Cupioromantic. I'm just reading out my messages from meetup.com, the stuff that I can read out. It's good to meet a Cupioromantic. I'm a heteromantic, but talk about Cupioromantic on my asexualized channel. I had a person comment the other day who was Cupioromantic to the point where they're desperate to feel romantic feelings and feel like something is missing if they don't. I did have a friend who used to identify as Cupioromantic, but he was not so interested in actually feeling romantic. He wasn't interested in kissing. What's your view on it? So anyway, he put, I can see where, this is a Cupioromantic's answer. He said, I can see where they are coming from. I also want to be in a romantic relationship, but I think it is mainly because it is something I can never have. At least for me, I have two parts of me fighting each other. The more aromantic part doesn't really understand romantic relationships, whilst I still want to have that type of connection with someone. On the point of kissing, I'm not really sure. It's not something I've really thought about. And I hope this helps. So yeah, I think that's really good that he's saying that he has two parts fighting each other, because I think that must be so difficult. I really do. I understand what it's like, because like I said, as a hyper-romantic asexual, I have the problem where I tend to I don't experience any platonic attraction. It just jumps straight to being romantic a lot of the time, especially if I'm really close to someone. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest. It's like, why do I have to fancy my friends? But hey ho, it's the way it goes. You know, you kind of have to just accept that about yourself and hope that your friends really understand that, you know. I mean, friendship is the foundation for any good relationship anyway, to be honest. So, you know, you should end up, theoretically, being with someone who you've been friends with for years in the future, which, when I start analysing that, is a bit weird. But, I mean, obviously not if your friends, like, will have different needs and they are attracted to different genders. And that'll never work, will it? A lot of my friends are attracted to guys more than girls. So I don't think that's going to work somehow, because I'm not changing my gender. I love my gender, even though I've got guy traits. So anyway, right. So I also then went on to speak to him again, because he said if I want any more help, let him know. So I put, I recently had a Cupioromantic comment on my channel saying they almost killed themselves and stopped themselves at the last minute because they could not stand not feeling romance. I have never come across someone experiencing such high emotions from being Cupioromantic before. I have from some people being asexual in and of itself. Yeah, it's sad that I have seen a few people, probably more than a few, say, you know, it's made them in the past especially want to kill themselves or suicidal, the fact they're asexual, because they feel like they're completely alone and no one understands them. And if you watched a video a long time ago, you'll know that I applied to be on a speaker at a TEDx conference about asexuality, and I got through to the very final, but not actually got to be a speaker. And, you know, I know now why I was meant to go to those auditions. You know, although I didn't get the speaking gig, I got, in a way, something better. Not better in the sense of what happened, but better in the sense of it just fueled my fire and my purpose even more in life, to get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation throughout the globe, so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. Because, you know, what that guy told me as I came out and went for the bus after the final audition was one of the most powerfulest things that I'll remember for the rest of my life, and that I'll always know is why I do what I do for asexuals, and why, you know, I just continuously will keep plugging away for you guys. Because if you haven't watched the episode, excuse me, I just need water, and you don't know what I'm talking about, then basically I came out, I left, it was Bristol, I came out and I went to the bus, and this guy said to me, oh, what were you auditioning for, was your talk about? So I told him it's about asexuality, which is a lack of sexual attraction, meaning, like, for me, I don't have any interest in sex, you know, I like kissing and cuddling, and that's it. And he said, oh, I knew a guy like that. And I said, great, give him my business card and get him to get in contact with me. And then he said he couldn't because he's dead. He killed himself because people thought he was gay. And I said, so had he known about asexuality, would he have killed himself? And he said, probably not. And that's why I do what I'm doing here, night after night, talking to you guys, you know? Because I don't want you to be alone. I don't want you to feel like you're the only one and that no one understands you. I don't want you to not be in life anymore, you know? Life's beautiful as an asexual, but it hurts me and saddens me when I hear, you know, people in pain over it. It's like, no, asexuality is perfectly natural, you know? And one of my friends even said the other day to me, who watches this channel, about a cause for asexuality, and I never think that way. I never think what causes someone to be asexual, because if you do that, then you have to think, well, what causes someone to be heterosexual? How do we know that it's not normal to be asexual? Just the majority of people have been conditioned to be heterosexual, for example. You know, I don't look at what causes it like it's an illness or a disease. I look at it as just another sexual orientation. You know, like there's people who are all individuals. We're all different. There's bound to be some people in the world that don't like sex, because there's no one in the whole entire world that likes absolutely everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like pizza. I hate pizza. The amount of people that love pizza, I can't stand. I can't even eat pizza bread. I couldn't eat that if I wanted to now, but years ago I tried the bread. It made me want to nearly throw up. I hate it. I mean, how many people do you know that don't like pizza? There's not that many in the world. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, I don't look for causes of anything. I look for celebrating asexuality. I look for thank God I'm alive and know 100% without a shadow of doubt that I'm asexual, or have no doubts. You know, it might help me, the fact that I have had sex in the past and I know how I felt about it. It might help me the fact that I've actually kissed heterosexual guys last year, and I kissed one, and the year before I was dating one for 2 months, and in that time I was able to feel the actual difference between arousal and sexual attraction. I don't have any sexual attraction whatsoever, diddly squat, and it was the arousal that I had all those years, and the excitement of kissing, that I mistook for sexual attraction. But, you know, I wasn't bothered about sex. You know, when my boyfriend at the time used to try and instigate it when I was doing the washing up. I hate washing up, but I'd rather stayed and done that, you know, because sex isn't really my thing. It never really has been. And so, you know, I just think we should be rejoicing asexuality. We shouldn't be thinking what causes asexuality. We should be thinking, well, if we're thinking that, we should be thinking, well, what causes why is anyone what orientation they are? You know, why is anyone gay? Why is anyone lesbian? Why is anyone bisexual? Why? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like an endless cycle of whys. But, you know, why does someone use a blue pen rather than a black pen? Why does someone walk down the street a certain way? Why does someone comb their hair a certain way? Why do some people have fringes? Why do some people have blue eyes? Why do some people have, like, long toenails? Why do some people have short thumbs? You know, you could go on forever and a day. I just think we should accept people for who they are and feel blessed that we're in this life. And I'm just happy that I'm so confident about my asexuality, and I know 100% I'm asexual. And that's why I don't look for causes. I look for, thank God I'm here and able to help you guys out. I honestly think that one of my life purposes is helping you to be happier about your asexuality. I'm really happy about mine, to be honest with you. I'm so happy and relieved I don't have to have sex ever again in my life. Do you know what I mean? I can still have wonderful, beautiful guy friends who I adore without having to worry about them, you know, them being sexual around me, because they're not. But having asexual guy friends is amazing. I love it, you know, and that came through my asexual meetups. And one of the guys I knew from my group, and then he came to a meetup. So it's just amazing. I can't tell you how happy I am like that. It's incredible. So anyway, so I'll carry on with what I was talking about, that I was talking about and saying to this Cupioromantic guy, who doesn't want to be named, which is fair enough, that I recently met a Cupioromantic on my channel saying they almost killed themselves and stopped themselves at the last minute because they could not stand not feeling romance. So a Cupioromantic is someone who strongly desires to feel romantic, despite the fact they're on the Aromantic spectrum, you know. So, and they don't experience romantic attraction. So I said that I've never come across someone experiencing such high emotions. And so I asked him this question. So I guess a good question. So I guess it would be good if you could answer this question. You know, basically on my channel, I recently said that romance is a skill that can be learned, although it won't change your orientation. What would your reaction and feeling be towards that? So yeah, there was a video I did about, you know, can a aromantic person be romantic if they want to be? And that was actually in response to someone who, like I said, was suicidal at one point. Well, was going to kill themselves, but stopped themselves at the last minute because they so desired a romantic relationship. And if you haven't seen that video, you know, it's further back. I'll probably link it down in the description after later on this video's process so that you can see what I'm talking about, along with the other Cupioromantic video I originally did, if I can find it. It was quite a long time ago. So this is the person's answer. Regarding the question, it's an interesting point. I wouldn't exactly agree with it. I would say that people can learn to be more romantic or get better at romance. So he did kind of agree with that. At least for me, I can act romantic, but it is me actively trying. I have to assume what a non-aro person would do and basically imitate that. I'm not acting as myself. It's hard to explain over text. You just kind of feel like a fraud. Hope this helps. So yeah, that's, I mean, in the video I was saying it's not going to change your sexual orientation even if you learn to be more romantic. But also my point is, I don't know if you saw that video, but there are lots of people, thousands of people all over the world, not asexuals, that want to be more romantic. If you look at the biggest, because obviously I'm a writer, the biggest selling genre out of all the books, fiction, particularly, is romance. You know, that's the biggest selling genre, is romance. And if you look on Amazon as well, there is so many books teaching people how to be more romantic. So that's just for your average, you know, like, world, you know, like, view, you know. So obviously the majority of people in the world, you know, seem to be heterosexual. So it's teaching heterosexuals how to be more romantic. So, you know, I'm saying that it's a skill that lots of people need to learn in their life, and that no one, you know, romance is not something that comes naturally to a lot of people. And that it, you know, like anything in life, it can be a skill. So sex it can be learned. Doesn't mean to say I enjoy it. You know, I had sex with my ex. There's a learning curve, you know. People, you know, when they're writing books and stuff like this about passionate, or just get on with it, it's not like that. You still, you know, when you're doing it, if you haven't done it before, you don't know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? You kind of have to learn as you go along, or learn from books, or whatever you want to learn from. Do you know what I mean? It's not like everyone knows how to have sex, you know. Even though the society is so hugely sexualized, people seem to think that's something that everyone naturally does. And when they say sex is natural, it makes it sound even more like everyone normally knows how to do it, which isn't actually true. There's a lot of people that are like having to, like, you know, that's, I guess, why some kids, like, they start off with porn and stuff, because they don't know what the heck they're doing. And it, you know, there's not so many people out there educating about it in a good way, sadly. And so, you know, one of the books I want to write is how to be more romantic, because, you know, I'm really hugely romantic. So it's like, kind of like, really, you should be writing that book. But I also want to write a book about how to have passion without sex, because I'm good at that stuff, because I'm on the more sensual, passionate side, asexual, heteromantic. So you know, it'd be great to do that. And, you know, like, even sexuals could have some good times, you know, being passionate without sex, in my opinion. You know, give them a chance to change their routine for a change, wouldn't it? Try something different, you know. So, you know, I hope that's helped you. So, you know, in my response to that, I put to this person who's a Cupioromantic, I put that I can understand you feel like a fraud, as it is not something you naturally are. So you are saying in your case you believe people can learn to be romantic or better at romance, but in your case, despite the fact you believe that, it still feels like you're acting and you're not being your authentic self, which I totally agree. You know, I don't think anyone should not be their authentic self in life. However, in order to change yourself, so like this year, I'm changing myself. Like, I am forcing myself to do things that I don't necessarily want to do. But it's not that they're bad, but it's like, oh, thank you, Heather. Thanks. I really appreciate this. Thank you. So this year I'm trying to change myself, right? I'm doing things that I haven't done for years, that I haven't been doing. Like, they're no big deal to a lot of people, but they're a big deal to me, because I'm forcing myself to do something that I don't naturally do. Like, I'm getting a new printer. Yeah, it's really nice, Heather. It's nice to see you watching as well. I didn't know who was watching. I can see 2 people are watching at the moment. So my printer, right? I mean, I love my old printer, but my old printer hasn't worked for over 8 months properly, you know? Like, I got it to work, and then, you know, it's completely dead now, apart from, well, it comes on for 15 to 20 minutes, so I needed to get a new one. And I started saving up for it, which is at the back. I'm having an exchange tomorrow, because there was a bit of a problem with that one. But, yeah, so, but, you know, I realised that in my business stuff, I have emotional attachment to objects, which is kind of like not something people say, but it's obvious when people, like, hang on to belongings or possessions that they've had for years. You know, they are emotionally attached to those things, because if they weren't, they'd just get rid of them. Do you know what I mean? They'd live a much more lean life, and they'd just be able to get rid of anything. But last year I was learning the art of detachment. This year I'm trying to do it even more. And my old printer, I love it. Like, I love it. Like, it's just like, It's been with me since 2012, and it's kind of like it's been with me throughout the years, and I've grown attached to it like a person. But I didn't really realise this until an new entrepreneur contact I had, friend. She wrote on her Facebook profile, oh, I'm changing this and that in my business because, you can't be emotional in business. And that's when it suddenly hit me like a lightning bolt that I'm very emotional when it comes to business stuff. I find it very hard to separate the two because really the business to me is just like my life. I don't really separate it very much. And that includes like domains. I got rid of 2 domains this year, which I've never done. I have those domains for 7 years. And so I had to detach from those domains and just cut off from them that I'd had for 7 years, a part of my quirky family of domains, And so, once my printer's up and running and everything's fine, then I'll be getting rid of the old printer, which I've had since 2012. It's like part of my family, Hiya. So, I think a lot of people become emotionally attached to objects and possessions without even thinking about it. And because I live more of a conscious life, because I do learn conscious stuff, then thanks for the thumbs up, by the way, then I realised that I was emotionally attached to my printer, to my domains. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dan, you're emotionally attached to these items. This is really crazy. So like this year, I'm really trying to change myself, I've got rid of 2 domains so far, which is really good considering I had them 7 years. And then I'm getting rid of my other printer. I'm going to have to get rid of it, even though I don't want to, because I'm like, oh, you're so special to me. You've been in my life since 2012. You've written my books for me, because obviously as a writer, your printer's so important. It's like your companion. So like, when your printer's like your companion, you kind of rely on it a lot. Like me and my printer's been together for years for all the writing of the books, including the asexualized, the Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories book. That's a printer I used that's in my hallway. It's a big, massive printer that I used to print my Asexual Perspectives book. I used it for my redundancy book, my Twitter book, and my other SSL book. So that printer's been through a lot of years of me, and I was watching one of my favourite TV shows tonight on YouTube. Well, actually it wasn't YouTube, it was on the internet, but it's a Knight Rider. I don't know if you've heard of the programme Knight Rider. If you haven't, Google it. It's like a really old TV show, and it's where the car talks to its owner. And it's called Kit, and it's got loads of human qualities, and I'm thinking, maybe that's why I became a lot more attached to objects, is because I used to love the car, and it used to talk to Michael Knight, the character, as a friend throughout all the series. And so I love a car like that, by the way. I don't drive, but obviously automatic cars are coming in like that one, aren't they? So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I get more attached to it because I see a lot of I don't know, maybe I see objects as more animated, and because of the way I feel about them, I feel like they're a companion, a writer's companion, which they are. If you ever write anything, you need a printer, it's kind of like a huge part of a writer's life is a printer. You don't realize how important it is, an essential piece of equipment that you really, really need. And and that one has like been temperamental at times, and I've been stroking it going, get better, come on, back to life, and it has, but now it's like really going, bless its heart. So when I went to last asexual meetup, they're like, one of the guys, my friend Ralph, is like, why don't you take the printer and put it in bed with you and put the duvet over you and go to sleep with it? I'm like, yes, Ralph, thanks very much. But what I'm trying to say is that you have to learn certain skills in life, and everyone feels kind of like a fraud when they're trying to learn something that they don't want to learn. Obviously, I'm not saying you should learn to be something. Like if you're aromantic, you don't want to be romantic, that's fine. Do not have to be it. A Cupioromantic is someone that desires to be romantic. In the sense, well, they desire a romantic relationship, but yet, like that guy says, the Cupioromantic says, he feels like a fraud if he's trying to act romantically. But when you are trying to change yourself, right, no matter what you do in life, whatever you're trying to change yourself, you will feel like a fraud in the beginning, or you will feel like not you, because you're doing something that's out of your comfort zone, and it's not true to who you are, I've never got rid of a domain ever in my life. In all the domains I've had, I got about 25 of them or something. I got at least 24, so I think I got 26. I did have 26, but I got rid of 2. And so I got a lot of domains. I've never ever got rid of one until recently, when I got rid of 2 in January this year. So, it's been well, actually it was last month, February, so it's been really, really difficult for me doing that, but it's something I have to do. And it's similar when you learn to be confident as well. Like, if you want to learn the skill of confidence, I see a documentary of people who marry their cars and other objects. I know, but I don't fancy them. I'm not attracted to them like that. I know, Heather, I don't want to marry a car or an object. I'm not like that. I have emotional attachment, but I want to be in a relationship with anything like that. That is just far out and not suitable for me. Yeah, I definitely don't want that. I don't love my my objects like in that way. But it's just like, I think the thing is I am admitting I'm emotionally attached to objects, which most people are, but they just don't realise it. Because if you weren't emotionally attached to something, then you just give away all your stuff, wouldn't you? You live like a monk, pretty much, wouldn't you? You just give everything away and be like, yeah, fine, who cares? But, I mean, I've got rid of some personal items in the last, months that I didn't use anymore, or I haven't used before. Even though those were good items and I could use them in the future, but I learnt to detach from them and just get rid of them. So, and earned myself a bit of, pocket money stuff. And, pay for a tea bag or something. But, it's all about detachment. And so I've been learning the art of detachment and trying to detach from things more, because I get attached to people quite easily as well sometimes. So I think it's all good training. And, when you're trying to learn the art of detachment, that's different to who I am, because I can get attached. So I'm learning to do something different. And when you're learning to do something different or change whatever it is in life, you are, you're going to feel like you're not you. But there's a difference. You have to be willing and wanting to do that. If you're not willing and wanting to do that, there's no need to change. It should only ever change for you if you want to, if it will make you happy. Never change for someone else. Never change because society dictates it to you. And don't change if you don't want to. There's no point. I would not recommend changing if you don't want it. I want to change this year because I know that if I don't change, it's not going to be good for me. I'm going to stay in the same position over and over again. So what I would say to anyone, though, although I said, don't change if you don't want to, because you only change for you, which I totally agree with, if you don't change yourself at all ever in your life, you'll just become stagnant and things will happen to you and you'll feel really out of control, because you'll be like, I didn't want this to happen. It's just been plunked upon me. Whereas if you get used to changing yourself, then when something different happens and goes on, you're used to change more, so you can adapt and handle it better. But yeah, I think it's really difficult for a Cupioromantic. I really do. Someone who desires a romantic relationship despite not experiencing romance. And I do feel for Cupioromantics, I think it must be very difficult. And I don't know if a Cupioromantic could actually be, for example, with a heteromantic, unless the Cupioromantic, I guess, was really into sort of holding hands, kissing and all that lot. I don't know if they could actually be in a relationship with a heteromantic, unless there's some heteromantics out there that aren't so bothered about all the affectionate stuff, because obviously heteromantics will be quite a different spectrum. I wanted to ask you, if a person is asexual and aromantic, why he may want to establish a relationship. Because if someone's asexual and aromantic, so this particular video is talking about a Cupioromantic. So on the aromantic spectrum, you have, it's a good question. On an aromantic spectrum, you have pure aromantics. They're just completely aromantic. You have demi-romantic. Demi-romantic. So that's someone who can only experience romantic attraction once a deep emotional bond has been formed. Then they become like a hetero, hetero or pan or bi-romantic or, homo-romantic, whatever gender they're attracted to. And then you have grey romantic. They only experience, this is all on the aromantic spectrum, they only experience romance in limited, rare or specific circumstances, or they do but not enough to want to act on it. So those specific circumstances could be with a particular person, which kind of then means it could be demi-romantic. And so those are the three, and then the fourth one is a Cupioromantic. So that is someone who experiences no romantic attraction but desires a romantic relationship. That is what is the definition of a Cupioromantic. They strongly desire a romantic relationship despite not experiencing romantic attraction. That is just the nature of a Cupioromantic, just like I'm a heteromantic. They're a Cupioromantic. So there's 4 different parts to the aromantic spectrum, which I explain in my free course on my Asexualized Academy, because people don't realise that. They just think an aromantic is an aromantic. But the aromantic spectrum has a spectrum within itself, and obviously you can get an aromantic asexual person or aromantic sexual person. Again, they're 2 different types of, they both don't experience romantic attraction, but an aromantic asexual doesn't experience a sexual attraction, whereas aromantic sexual does. So, if an aromantic is a grey romantic, where they do experience some romantic attraction in limited, rare or specific circumstances, or do but not enough to want to act on it, then they might desire a platonic relationship, like a queer platonic relationship, or a platonic relationship. And a demi-romantic, once a deep emotional bond has been formed, they kind of then become a romantic person. But they can only be like a demisexual can only experience sexual attraction once a strong, deep emotional bond has been formed. A demi-romantic can only experience romantic attraction once a deep, strong emotional bond has been formed. So then they would want a romantic relationship, but they still be classed on the aromantic spectrum because they're still a demi-romantic, if you understand what I mean. And then a Cupioromantic, like I've said, they desire, that their innate being desires a romantic relationship despite not experiencing any romantic attraction. So that is, part of their personality, part of what makes them up. But an aromantic person can still desire a strong platonic relationship. So a platonic relationship, or sometimes they call it a queer platonic relationship, is a bit deeper than a friendship. So all aromantics are different, right? But in my experience of aromantics that I've spoken to, and my understanding of how it works, is that an aromantic person, they obviously the way they would be close to a queer platonic person would be maybe the equivalent of a hug. So basically, for example, if an aromantic person was to have friends, this is I know different types of aromantics, so it depends on the aromantic. So some aromantics love hugging all their friends, right, and being close physically to their friends. Other aromantics can't stand that, and they will only have that in a queer platonic relationship. So, for example, the person who's aromantic who doesn't hug their friends and get physically close to any of their friends, right? There's a lot of distance usually between them, or at best they might give a hug if the other person really wants it, but they're not really keen on that. When they hug their person, it will be their queer platonic relationship person, because their hug would be equivalent to my intimate kissing in a relationship, and my intimate kissing would be equivalent to a sexual person's sex, if you know what I mean. That's the most I would go in a relationship for my intimacy. So with an aromantic who has a platonic relationship and is in a platonic relationship, it would be different to their friends in the sense it would be even deeper than their other friendships. And their friendships are so deep. They're really usually emotionally connected to their friends, very, very deep soul connections to a lot of their friends. Their friends are their life and their world. They're like their community. They need them in their life, and they really are in pain and upset a lot of the time when they're those friends, if they pair off with people, if their friends that they're really close to are going couples and get married and have children, because the aromantic person seeing where's my friends, they might see them several times a week, whereas a person in a romantic relationship would probably usually spend more time with their actual romantic partner. A person who's aromantic would spend equal time, if not more, or want to spend more with their platonic friends. So they might have 5 friends and they want to see them several times every week. That's normal for an aromantic person with their friendships. And then when they have that queer platonic relationship, or just known as platonic relationship, depending on how they want to call it, and how they feel about it, then, that would be more than their friendship. You get my point. Okay, that's fine. I wanted to carry on explaining it until you got it. So yeah. So I hope that was really helpful for you. So I have aromantic friend at the moment, he is more into, well, they are more into guys. And yeah, he said that he, even though he's aromantic and he's still discovering about himself different things, and he said he still just, you know, still wants a queer platonic relationship, and he has more, he tends to be more involved in relationships than I am, and I'm a heteromantic, and he's on the aromantic spectrum, you know. Well, he's aromantic, he's definitely an aromantic, you know. So it's kind of like quite far. I said you're in more relationships than I am. He goes, oh, there's only been one, but he talks about relationships a lot, and he likes a lot of different people and stuff. I should say, they've just become non-binary. They were a he, so they just decided to become non-binary. So I've got to remember them. I don't know if he still identifies as a he, actually. I haven't asked him how it, but I presume they or them is what he'd like to be called. They would like to be called now, I'm assuming, but they only just told me that recently, so it's like I'm still like, oh, okay. But I've got a friend who is a trans man friend, yeah. But I've known online for 4 years, I think it is now. They were born female, then they were agender, and now they're a trans guy getting married next in May as well to their bisexual partner. They got a kid, so yeah. So I have to remember different pronouns and things. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. I'll try and link the other 2 Cupioromantic videos underneath when this video is finished processing, so that you can check those out as well, so you can get a little bit more of an idea of what I was talking about. And thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all the thumbs up. If you want to, if anyone's watching this channel that hasn't already given me a thumbs up, please do so. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Oh, thank you very much, Heather. Very informative. Good night. Yeah, if you guys can keep the questions coming, you know, in between videos as well. If you've got anything particularly you want me to cover in other videos, you know, that I know about, or that hasn't been done, you know, like I haven't already done it 1,000 times, then, but I'm happy for having any questions at all. It's really good. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so get notified every time I go live or post a new video. Thank you so much for tuning in, all of you. I love you to bits, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. Take care until next time.